David clutched the file, his heart pounding. The weight of the moment pressed down on him, making it hard to breathe. He had dreamt of this moment, the culmination of years of relentless study and countless sleepless nights. Every sacrifice, every late-night study session had led him here. He was a labor lawyer, ready to fight for the downtrodden, the ones who had no voice. His passion for justice burned brightly, fueling his determination. His new firm buzzed with energy, a hive of activity fueled by ambition. The air was thick with the scent of fresh coffee and the hum of conversations. His first case awaited him. The name on the file sent a shiver down his spine. It was a name he knew all too well, one that brought back a flood of memories. It was his old company, the place where he'd spent countless hours, pouring his heart and soul into his work. The building stood tall, a silent witness to his past struggles. He remembered the long nights, the endless emails, the constant pressure. The weight of expectations had been crushing, yet he had persevered. And then he saw it. The detail that changed everything, hidden in plain sight. The name that made his blood run cold. Joseph. A name that was once a source of guidance and now a source of dread. His old boss, his mentor, the man who had taken him under his wing, was now his client. The man who had once been his guiding star was now at the center of his professional storm. This wasn't just a case, it was personal. The lines between professional duty and personal history blurred, making the stakes even higher.
The fight was on. David knew that this battle would test not only his legal skills but also his resolve and integrity. The journey ahead was uncertain, but he was ready to face it head-on.
Memories flooded back, vivid and unsettling. David remembered Joseph as a pillar of strength, a man who commanded respect. Joseph had been more than just a boss. He had been a mentor, a confidant, a friend. David had learned the ropes under Joseph's guidance, but the company had changed. A new CEO, Chris, had taken over, bringing with him a culture of ruthlessness. Gone were the days of camaraderie and shared purpose. Fear and intimidation became the new tools of management. David had witnessed firsthand the toxic transformation.
A truth that David instinctively knew was tainted with injustice.
The details of the case unfolded like a cruel twist of fate. Joseph, the epitome of health and vitality, had been diagnosed with cancer. The news had come as a shock, a stark reminder of life's fragility. David remembered the hushed whispers in the office, the outpouring of concern and support. Joseph had faced his diagnosis with courage, his spirit unbroken. He had applied for FMLA leave, determined to fight his illness and return to work. But the company, under Chris's leadership, had shown little compassion.
Chris saw an opportunity, a chance to exploit Joseph's vulnerability. He started by undermining Joseph's authority, questioning his decisions.
It was a heartless betrayal, a callous disregard for human decency.
David immersed himself in the case, each document revealing another layer of Chris's deceit. He spent countless hours in his office, surrounded by stacks of papers and files, each one a piece of the puzzle he was determined to solve. The more he read, the clearer the picture became, and the more his resolve strengthened. He pored over medical records, employment contracts, performance reviews. Every detail mattered. Every piece of information was a potential key to unlocking the truth. He meticulously cross-referenced dates and events, looking for inconsistencies and hidden connections. He interviewed former colleagues, piecing together a timeline of events. Each interview added another layer to the story, providing insights and perspectives that documents alone couldn't offer. He listened carefully, taking detailed notes and asking probing questions to uncover the full extent of Chris's actions. His conversations with Joseph were emotionally charged. Joseph's pain and frustration were palpable, and David felt a deep sense of empathy. He knew that this case was about more than just legalities. It was about justice for a man who had been wronged.
Joseph, though physically weakened by his ordeal, still possessed a quiet strength. His determination to see justice served was unwavering, and it inspired David to push even harder. Despite everything he had been through, Joseph's spirit remained unbroken.
David listened intently, his own sense of outrage growing with every word. He couldn't believe the extent of the deceit and manipulation that had taken place. It was clear that Chris had gone to great lengths to cover his tracks, but David was determined to uncover the truth. This wasn't just a case, it was a personal mission. David felt a deep sense of responsibility to right the wrongs that had been done. He worked late into the night, driven by a sense of purpose and a desire to see justice served. He saw in Joseph's plight a reflection of the company's descent into greed. It was a stark reminder of how far the company had strayed from its original values. David knew that exposing Chris's actions was just the first step in a much larger battle to restore integrity. He vowed to expose Chris's actions, to hold him accountable. This was about more than just one man. It was about setting a precedent and sending a message that such behavior would not be tolerated. The evidence was mounting, painting a damning picture of discrimination. Each new piece of information added weight to the case, and David felt a growing sense of confidence. He knew that they had a strong case, and he was ready to take it to court.
The battle would be fierce, but David was prepared to fight tooth and nail for justice. He knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but he was ready to face whatever obstacles came their way. This was a fight worth fighting, and he was determined to see it through to the end. David's investigation went beyond legal documents and corporate memos. He saw a man stripped of his dignity, his livelihood, his sense of self-worth.
I saw the fear in Joseph's eyes, the uncertainty about the future.
He visited Joseph at his home, a modest apartment. He saw the toll the illness had taken on Joseph.
Yet my spirit remained unbroken, fueled by a quiet determination.
These visits were more than just fact-finding missions. They were opportunities to connect with Joseph on a human level.
David knew that his empathy would be his greatest asset in the courtroom. The lawsuit sent shockwaves through the company. Employees, long silenced by fear, began to whisper amongst themselves. Some, emboldened by David's courage, came forward with their own stories.
But I remained defiant. I hired a team of high-priced lawyers, masters of spin and legal maneuvering. We countered every allegation, painting Joseph as incompetent.
They attempted to discredit David, portraying him as a disgruntled former employee. The media caught wind of the story, sensing a David and Goliath narrative.
Thrust into the spotlight, I remained focused, my resolve unwavering.
He meticulously built his case, presenting a mountain of evidence that exposed Chris's lies and manipulations. The tension in the courtroom was palpable. The jury, a cross-section of everyday people, listened intently as David delivered his closing arguments.
He spoke with conviction, his words echoing with the weight of truth. He painted a picture of a man wronged, a company corrupted by greed. He spoke of Joseph's courage, his resilience in the face of adversity. He reminded the jury of the human cost of corporate greed. He implored them to send a message, to hold Chris accountable.
The jury deliberated for days, their decision carrying the weight of justice. David waited anxiously, his faith in the system hanging in the balance. Finally, the verdict came. Guilty. The verdict reverberated far beyond the courtroom walls, shaking the very foundations of the company. News outlets picked up the story, spreading it like wildfire, hailing it as a victory for employee rights. The company's stock plummeted, with investors losing confidence rapidly.
Chris, once untouchable in his ivory tower, was forced to resign in disgrace. His carefully crafted image, his reputation as a shrewd businessman, lay in tatters beyond repair.
The company, once a thriving enterprise, now faced an uncertain future. Morale among employees was at an all-time low, with no end in sight. The case had exposed the dark underbelly of corporate America, revealing its true nature. For David, the victory was bittersweet. It was a moment of triumph, yet it carried the weight of profound loss. He had played a pivotal role in bringing down a corrupt CEO, a man who had once been a mentor to him. He had helped Joseph reclaim his dignity, his livelihood, and in doing so, he had restored a sense of justice that had long been absent. His faith in the system, though shaken, was not entirely broken.
The company he had once admired was now a shadow of its former self. The halls that were once bustling with activity now echoed with silence. He had witnessed firsthand the corrosive effects of power, how it could twist and corrupt even the most well-intentioned individuals. The experience had changed him, leaving an indelible mark on his soul. It tempered his youthful idealism with a healthy dose of cynicism, a necessary armor for the battles that lay ahead.
He emerged from the ordeal a more seasoned lawyer, one who had seen the dark underbelly of the corporate world. His moral compass, once unwavering, was now calibrated by the fires of a hard-fought battle, guiding him with a newfound clarity. He knew that his work was far from over. The fight for justice was a continuous journey, one that required relentless dedication. He was ready to fight for them, for those who had been wronged, for those who had lost hope. Armed with the knowledge that even in the face of overwhelming odds, justice could prevail, he moved forward with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. The impact of the case extended far beyond the individuals involved. It sparked conversations about workplace ethics, the rights of employees. It forced companies to re-evaluate their policies, to prioritize human dignity over profit margins. Lawmakers took notice, introducing legislation to strengthen employee protections.
The case became a rallying cry for labor rights activists. For Joseph, the victory brought a sense of closure, a chance to rebuild his life.
David, forever changed by the experience, dedicated his career to fighting for the underdog.
He knew that the fight for justice was never truly over, but he was determined to make a difference, one case at a time.